All right, this is Chapter 1, Anatomy, Physiology. Just a quick review initially. Shouldn't take us too long. Mute is not on. So anatomy, study of structure. Physiology, study of function. Basically, anatomy is all the memorization, and physiology is the understanding the background portion. So we always like to say that structure is related to function. So it is important to understand the structure so we can better understand the function. Levels of organization, basic stuff from chem, bio, whatever you want to think, from atom to molecule to macromolecule. Okay. Then many macromolecules together give us an organelle. You put many organelles together and you get a cell, different types of cells. Different types of cells come together to form a tissue type. You put multiple tissues together and you get an organ. Let's say the liver or the skin. And multiple organs together, they give you an organ system, skeletal system, digestive system, and organ systems together give you the organism. Okay, so levels of organization, simple to more complex. Here we have the diagram showing exactly the same thing. Now, a theme that constantly reappears throughout this class is the idea of homeostasis and the body's ability to maintain an internal stable environment. Whether it be temperature or salt concentrations or conditions, all these things are very important. Balance is very crucial. So you have all kinds of ways to monitor your homeostasis, your level of homeostasis in your internal environment, and this is through receptors that provide information basically to your brain, to your system. And then your brain and various other components, but mainly your brain is the control center that identifies what that value is and what it should be. And then you regulate the output using effectors. So they respond to changes in your internal environment, such as sweating if you get really hot, for example, right? And this is showing you on the left, we have temperature and this idea of balance where you have this set point of ideal temperature, and if it's too low or too high, how it works. You can see that there. Now, some generalized anatomy things here. We have a variety of different cavities in the body that you'll hear me refer to throughout the class, including the thoracic cavity, which is separated by the diaphragm from the abdominopelvic cavity, or the abdominal cavity, where all your abdominal organs are. This side is ventral on the body, and this side is dorsal. Here we have the cranial cavity, where you have the brain, and you have also the vertebral canal with your vertebra. This is the space where the vertebra and your spinal cord, not the vertebra, the spinal cord actually is inside. Of course, you have your lungs within the thoracic cavity, and you also have the heart. In here we have all the digestive organs and so on in the abdominal cavity, and then the pelvic cavity is all the various pelvic organs and so on. Now, a variety of organ systems, all these we will go through, so I don't spend more time on them than just touching on them here. Integumentary system is skin. Skeletal system, bones, of course. Muscular system, all the muscles. Nervous system is your nerves and how they work. Endocrine system is all the glands that secrete hormones and how they work with one another. Cardiovascular system is heart and blood vessels. Lymphatic system is lymphatic vessels and immune system, and also a few organs that play a role within it, like lymph nodes or the spleen. Digestive system, you know all the digestive system organs. Respiratory system, lungs, trachea, and so on. Urinary system, urinary bladder, kidneys, and so on. And then the reproductive systems of male and female. Now, some terminology that we need to know so we can talk about the anatomy of a subject. So anatomical position is basically like this, and I wonder if you can even see me on the video. Because I can't see the video, but basic anatomical position is like this, with thumbs pointing out, standing up, facing forward, where this is my right side of my body, this is my left, your limbs are at your sides, and again, palms facing forward. So now I got to adjust the camera, and I can't exactly see where it's pointing, but I'm betting that I'm somewhere in the video there. Okay, so positioning. Superior and inferior are used together. We'll show you what they mean. Anterior and posterior, medial and lateral, ipsilateral and contralateral. You probably have to know the least about of all those. And then proximal versus distal you have to know, and superficial versus deep. One we'll talk about a little less as well. The planes are the body sections. Sagittal, mid-sagittal, we have to know those, and we'll spend some time in class doing those. Transverse versus cross, okay? Coronal or frontal, these are different names for the same thing. Here you see the coronal and frontal plane. Here's the transverse plane, creating a superior and inferior, or horizontal if you like. plane. And then you have the oblique, which is at an angle, which is not being shown here, diagonal, if you like. That's a less used one of all those. Various abdominal subdivisions. This is one of our homework assignments to label these. This is just as a review for you. I'll just go through them so you can hear them one more time. The right hypochondriac region and the left hypochondriac region. The epigastric region. Epi means above, and gastric is the intestinal region, essentially. So epigastric is right above the intestines. Umbilical region is where your navel is, your belly button. It's the umbilical region. That's where the umbilical cord was attached. We have the right lumbar and left lumbar. You know, this is your lumbar spine on the back, so right lumbar, left lumbar. Left iliac, here's the iliac crest. Left iliac region, right iliac region, and then the hypogastric region. Hypo is below, so this is below the gastric region. And then we also have right upper quadrant, left upper quadrant, right lower, left lower quadrant. You'll hear some of these used when we watch some of our surgical videos showing how the doctors talk with one another and direct attention focus of where they need to be working. And then, of course, the different body regions. I'm not going to go through all of these, both the anterior and posterior view. All these different generic names you have to know. These are regions of the body that apply to many different systems. This is the component that we'll be playing Simon Says off of to make sure you learn, and a few other things as well, but we do need to know all of these. Various non-invasive procedures or uses of medical imaging. These are non-invasive, so you don't have to cut. These are always ideal. Surgery is always the last option. You get soft internal structures. So ultrasound basically uses high-frequency sound waves. It's very quick and inexpensive. And within a few years, it already exists. There's ultrasound that can attach to your iPhone. And you can do ultrasound anywhere on site. And it's far cheaper than their big ultrasound machines. So more and more in your lifetimes, you're going to see smartphones being attached to medical equipment, collecting data, and then sending it off by email through private sectors, through private pathways to your doctor and so on. You also have MRI, magnetic resonance imaging, uses some dye, and then you get images. It uses the various sections, the planes that we talked about, transverse, frontal, and sagittal sections. It slices the body, so to speak, into different planes, and then it puts those planes together as well if necessary, if the doctor so requests. And that's it for this lecture.